Let's begin. Background question. Tell me about your journey into HR and why you're excited to lead as an HR manager here. It's a great perspective. Valuing people as the heart of the organization is key to HR leadership. Let's move to the next part.
What if I told you that was not a real person over the phone that Vijay was talking to? Vijay was being interviewed by an AI that he built, and that was actually a demo. Why go through this? Well, not only does it solve scheduling, but also it removes the bottlenecks that recruiters face, and it also auto-generates summaries and helps you build a dashboard for relative scores of all the candidates that were interviewed.
There are a bunch of AI providers, right? You have Gemini, Grok, OpenAI, Anthropic. What we have told ourselves is not to get overly stuck with one AI provider. We want to keep it AI agnostic.
I'm Naman Pandey. This is the Ready Set Do podcast, and in this episode, my guest is Vijayan Swaminathan. Vijay is a bit of a serial entrepreneur, the host of the Pathfinders Podcast and co-host of the Authentic Hustle podcast. In this episode for us exclusively, Vijay pops the hood on his AI recruiting tool, Recruitt AI, and quite generously shares the entire tool stack as well as the build process that he followed. If you're trying to build anything using voice-powered AI, I can promise that this episode will be immensely beneficial for you. As a side note, I've also been a guest on Vijay's podcast Pathfinders, and I linked the episode here and below the like button if you'd like to check it out and show some love.
No one can win at being you, right? No one can be VJ or no one can be Naman. Your authenticity is only you. That is a marketing play no one can compete with.
Did you vibe code this or did you write code by hand?
So latency is a challenge. The lowest is like 600 to 750 milliseconds, and it goes up to as high as even 1500 milliseconds, which is sometimes a lot.
In line with our theme of learning from somebody who's just a few steps ahead, my goal with this episode is to spotlight voice AI-powered apps and give you all the tools and resources that you need to start building out your own. Subscribe on YouTube and any of your favorite podcast apps for weekly episodes featuring high-agency individuals and daily clips from those episodes on YouTube and Instagram. And now, without any further ado, here's Vijay. Welcome to the only podcast in the world featuring stories of high agency individuals who are just a few steps ahead of us. Vijay, welcome.
Hey, Naman.
So excited to deep dive into the cutting edge of where you've been operating, right? With all of these various AI initiatives, such killer tools and resources for all of, our listeners to look at. And I know we'll be covering a few different things today. But to start off, do you want to demo the use case that you built out for Recruitt AI? And just, maybe tell us a little bit about, just to set the stage, what it does, what problem it solves. And, we can then go from there.
Absolutely. So before I show you what the demo is, and I'll just paint the picture, just to give context.
Yep.
So there are two things that we are working on. One is for helping companies with sales and business development, where if you have one or 2% sales of business in the sales of business development, and you want to increase the capacity by 10 or 20 times, right? Mm-hmm. So how can you do that with the power of AI? So pretty much if you have like a spreadsheet and phone numbers, we have the capability to make hundreds and thousands of calls. So that's what we're building with conversion.com. So which is started with my co-founder, Brian Hayes, out of Dallas, Texas. That's one initiative. So it's all about sales and whatnot. And on the other side, I'm also from the tech side. I've spent a lot of time on the tech, and I see constantly recruiters reaching out to people Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and to screen candidates, to get like future candidates, and to probably sell a push into them. And it's constantly happening. Yeah. And if we wanted to help, and we wanted to bring AI to help, and if we could, if the recruiters can do those screening with those candidates with the help of AI for different variety of positions. So that's what we are doing with Recruitt AI alongside my co-founder, Avinash Sendil Kumar. He's out of Windsor, Ontario. So these are the two initiatives I'm working on besides my software consulting firm, Zadwell. So that's just an intro. Maybe I can get started with like a recruitment demo if you're okay with that. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to see that in action. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Let's do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simulate. So AI will be conducting an interview.
Amazing.
For a human resources manager position. So I'm going to pretend I'm a HR. I don't have a HR background, but I'm going to pretend I'm an HR. So HR, if you're watching, excuse me for the wrong answers. So.
Hello, I'm Laura, Senior HR Director at Recruitt AI.
Hey, Laura. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for interviewing for our Human Resources Manager role, where you'll lead talent strategy and foster our workplace culture. We'll cover your background, an HR-specific question, and a leadership scenario in this quick demo. Let's begin.
Sure thing.
Journey into HR and why you're excited to lead as an HR manager here. What inspired your HR career?
Absolutely. I always loved working with people, and in an organization, I think the human beings make the organization, and they bring the vision to fruition. So I love to help them on their journey and on their journey in the company, and if they have any questions or any challenges along the way. So that's why I chose this profession as a HR manager.
It's a great perspective. Valuing people as the organization is key to HR leadership. How would you develop a strategy to improve employee engagement in a workplace?
Yeah, what was the question? Can you ask the question again?
Of course. How would you develop a strategy to improve employee engagement in a hybrid workplace? If you'd like, you can share key initiatives you prioritize.
Yeah. So I think for a lot from what we are seeing is employees like to be heard and valued for their efforts and opinions and cherished along the way. And when they feel valued and sought, and their opinion is sought from time to time through feedback and surveys and whatnot, and also engaged through like different organizational activities, we see a lot of like positivity and then like great ROI for those kind of activities. So that is what I have done in my role as a HR.
That's an insightful approach. Prioritizing feedback, recognition, and engaging activities truly resonates in a hybrid environment. Now, on to the final question. Tell me about a time you resolved a complex employee relations issue. How did you approach it, and what was the impact?
There was a pressing need for a massive recruitment, but there was this employee who and he was in a critical time of his phase. His father just passed away, and he was also approaching to a marriage, and the project was also seeking completion. So that's when we kind of leveraged hybrid work and remote work, even like 10 years ago when remote work was not as popular. So he was remote, but at the same time was able to finish the project successfully and also finish his family duties and also finish his marriage wonderfully. So that is some experience I always cherish being a HR.
Sounds like you handled a very delicate situation with empathy and strategic thinking, ensuring both the employees and success. Thank you. That's all for our demo. Do you have a quick question about the role?
Yeah. So how soon can I join this position, and what are the benefits in the role?
We aim to fill the position promptly, and our benefits package includes comprehensive health coverage, professional development opportunities, and supportive work-life balance. We'll soon with more details. Excellent effort today.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you for this time, and we'll be in touch soon.
You have a great day. So that was all AI.
Right.
It's not a person speaking.
That's really incredible. Yeah, like the voice, it was very, very lifelike for sure. Like, yeah, definitely just the voice piece, right? If you don't go off of the actual content, and if somebody were to just focus blindly on just the voice, I think that was extremely convincing, if you ask me.
Yeah, and we were going to say it as an AI person talking. I mean, we were never going to pretend that it is it is a human, because it is that real. It's like it can. And we tried other languages like Spanish and like a British English and like an Indian English, and we tried a few different accents. So
interesting.
It did come out well. Yeah.
Yeah, now, so I have obviously a few questions around this, right? So obviously I can appreciate the value of doing this, because now you don't need somebody to, do the scheduling. You don't need somebody to call some other person at a fixed exact time. And obviously you can only be on one call at a time, right? So it's not like one person can have, like 3 different screenings all at once, right? So this fixes that. So obviously you can parallel process, I don't know, even hundreds of applications like that. So that part is super valuable, obviously has a lot of value. I think what I'm curious about is what kind of the like behind the scenes look like from what you just did. So what sort of analytics would the recruiter or the company be getting from that call?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to like describe what you mentioned. There is absolutely concurrency, parallel processing.
Yeah.
Because given in the current day and age of a situation, let's say 10 a.m. any given day, Monday to Friday, if a HR is making a call or a recruiter making a call between 10 and 11, right? Each call is probably 10 to 15 minutes,
Yeah.
roughly, give or
Mhm.
take, right? So they can probably make 4 to 5 calls in an hour. So with this, you can scale it to probably you can make 50 calls in an hour. So the scale is like what they can achieve, like probably they can do 20, 30 calls. With this, they can probably even do 500 or 1,000 calls a day. So
Easily. Yeah.
easily, yeah. So that's the power of scale. I wanted to explain that. And your question on analytics, what is possible? So when conducting an interview in this recruitment setting, each organization will have different kinds of parameters how they want to gauge a candidate, right? So okay, how is their like leadership skills, how is their like language skills, how is their like experience on particular domain X, Y, and Z, right? So they may have different parameters for each organization, so that can be configured. And so we are like a beta stage, we are trying the early stage, we are trying to test. And so there are parameters that we can set, and we can measure against those, and we can put a score against 1 to 10. How do candidates measure on those skills? Okay, how's their leadership experience, how is their like domain experience, right? So we'll give a score. Okay, their leadership skills is 7, domain experience is 8, or things like that. So overall, if they have like 20 candidates to call, so the AIs can go and out there and make those calls for you, and it give out a beautiful report saying that, hey, this is what happened, and this is what it looks like. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that report piece that you mentioned is kind of what I'm, focused on. So, for instance, I'm assuming obviously that you would have baked in the ability to condense what you said and have that shared with the hiring manager, right? So what you said around your answer to the behavioral question, which was how did you deal with like a difficult situation, in which you said you empowered that employee to take that day off or whatever. Like, do you have that pipeline flowing through in a way that that basically that they don't have to refer to the entire transcript? And
oh,
yeah.
yeah. No, what we will do is like actually with these both initiatives, what we do is like after every conversation, so there is a 2-line summary of the entire call.
Nice.
So they don't have to sit and hear the recording of the entire 10 minutes. Let's say they call 200 candidates in a day. They don't have to literally listen to 200 calls actually. So they'll get a quick 2-line summary of what happened in that call.
Okay.
And they can definitely use that to leverage. And all calls are also searchable, Naman. So every conversation that happened with the candidate, right? So it is all searchable with the keyword. Let's say the candidate said Java, for instance. I don't know. I'm just making it up, right? Or they said like what particular domain experience, like manufacturing, for example, right? So you can search for those keywords, and then maybe you can start playing from there onwards and see, oh, what did they say about manufacturing or Java, for instance?
Yeah, that would be really cool to just kind of see, or maybe what the back end of that looks like. It's okay if you don't have that now, but if you can maybe share any pictures, whatever the case might be, and I can like throw it up for our listeners to view whenever this airs. I think that would be really cool, because I'm really excited to just imagine like the back end of what this would look like for that company. So like there'll be a dashboard, I'm assuming. So like 70 out of 150 candidates called, there'll be like a breakdown, maybe 40 answered, maybe out of those 40, 30 will be green, 10 will be red or something.
Yeah, we have built the MVP, and we are actively building it out. Currently, this R&D is still like onward,
that's so
but
exciting.
that's where we are headed actually. So the core, I showed you the demo of the core piece that we just saw.
Exactly.
But yeah, the conversation can be searchable. I'll send you a screenshot of like how we can search that conversation and things like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
The actual report, that's something we're still building, but it's coming. It's all coming together.
Amazing. Yeah, sorry, and I have this habit of getting ahead of myself, right? I'm just
good.
Really very easy to get excited, for me at least, about stuff like AI. Next, obviously, I'm curious in understanding how you built this. So obviously, I understand there is some IP at stake here. So without revealing too much, just for anybody that's interested in building something similar, or making like an interactive, real-time AI voice system of some sort, what are some of like the core tools and technologies that you used? If you could go over
Yeah.
that would be great.
Obviously, this is voice-based intelligence, and so something that we are leveraging, some tools that we are leveraging is called Levin Labs. So
Okay, nice.
for different voice, and if you want to do different accents and cloning and things like that, so we use Levin Labs. We use Cartesia. So those are some of our voice providers out of the box that we do use that. And also now I think people are all familiar with ChatGPT, OpenAI, OpenAI. So there are a bunch of AI providers, if you notice, right? Like telephone network providers. There are AI network providers are like large now. You have Gemini, you have Grok, you have OpenAI, and like you have Perplexity, Anthropic, and at least there are like 12 to 15 different AI providers. So what we have told ourselves is not to get overly stuck with one AI provider. So we want to keep it AI agnostic in a way, so that let's say if Anthropic is not working out, we want to switch to Grok, or we want to switch to Gemini, or to OpenAI, ChatGPT, right? So we kept that layer agnostic, so that we don't have to be facilitated, because what might work in English doesn't necessarily have to work the same way in a different language or in a different accent, right? So the models are different. We really see that. And DeepSeek, of course, we do support DeepSeek all as well. Okay. So we can change the provider. So that is one part of how the conversation is actually consumed. So the way it actually happens, Naman, is like person speaking, it's actually, we are converting that to a text, speech to a text.
Yep.
So and all of that text is transcribed. So we use some tool called DeepGram. It is used for transcribing. You might have heard about all these like different calls that people use for like the Google meeting and so many things where the transcribing happens. So DeepGram is one such tool which helps you in transcribing. So from speech to text, and it transcribes beautifully. And again, once LLM has processed and has an answer, we have to process back from text to speech again.
Back to speech.
So both these needs to happen. So we use DeepGram for that. So those are some of the tools that we use to put this solution together. And of course, there's some IP involved, but I think that's, if anyone has a question, that's how it actually works.
Yeah, no, and that makes total sense. And thanks for sharing the names of those tools. Obviously, I'm familiar with 11 Labs. I think they are definitely the market leader. I feel like when it comes to anything voice, I think they're at the very cutting edge of that technology. In fact, I think I recently saw you can now type out a transcript, right? So you can have like Naman colon, and within like your double inverted quotes, say why are you standing there, and in parentheses you write surprised tone. And when it generates that, it will actually add that surprised inflection in the voice itself, which is just that it just blew my mind to think that that's just possible to do now, and it'll be my voice, which is the craziest part of all, probably. But something that I noticed was just how quick it was. There was almost very little latency between you saying something and the person like responding to your thing. So how did you make it to be so like less like how did you reduce the latency so much?
So latency is a challenge. The lowest, I think ours is like 600 to 750 milliseconds latency. And sometimes it goes up to as high as even 1,500 milliseconds, which is sometimes a lot. So it depends on, so for each AI that we're building, for each assistant that we're building, which is actually representing a certain job, it is doing a task, right? This AI, for instance, is playing the role of a recruiter, and it was actually recruiting candidates, right? So its entire script is based around recruiting. And for companies, for different needs, they will have different kinds of information that they want AI to learn, right? So AI will be applying based on those knowledge bases. So we should be careful not to overfeed the knowledge base just because we can. We shouldn't feed like 1 terabyte of knowledge base. You're probably going to get like 100,000 millisecond response. So you're not get a response at all. So we have to play. We have to play between those things, not overfeed it, but at the same time give what is only needed, because it can handle pretty well any conversation. It is mature enough to handle that. So speed is one thing, and that is something we are exploring more on it, and we want to reduce the response time as much as possible.
So that's already so fascinating what you said around and like you've said this a few times where you've said that you want to play around with it, you want to explore it. So I think one of the questions that I definitely have, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have as well, is in this space, right? In this day and age, and as of recording, this is July 2025. It literally feels like there is a new earth-shattering technology every single day, right?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
one of the biggest questions I get from just interacting with my peers, friends, is just that it's so hard to follow what is going on, because by the time you catch up to a news, that is now old news, and there are three new models that do that thing better. So what is your method of, kind of staying up to date with the latest and greatest with AI developments, and to what degree do you do that, if at all?
Okay, got it. I mean, you will not know everything. That's a fact. I have told I understood that as a fact like probably 8 or 9 years ago, and I told myself I will not know everything.
Yeah.
But when I want to know something, I go and dig for it, and I find out. That's
Okay.
how it has always been. Yeah, I still would say I don't know a million things. So I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
But like I don't. There is no secret hack actually, because there are different communities I'm involved in. I'm for blockchain, for instance. So people keep bringing new interesting stuff one way or the other. And of course, you have seen us do podcasts and things like that. There are different guests you and I will get to speak to.
Yeah.
They bring different ideas, like challenge you on what you thought was the ideal way. They come from a completely different world.
Yeah.
That's another source of information. And when I learned the most is also when I'm preparing for a guest to speak for them, right? Because
Really?
I try and dig in what they're doing and like prepare an introduction for them, what they're doing. So that is also a learning moment. Yeah, every conversation is pretty much a learning moment, actually, to be very honest.
No, and I agree definitely. Also, obviously, we're both podcast hosts, and I can relate to what you're saying. There's definitely a great deal of just engagement, right, that happens in a way that we wouldn't have done in our normal lives, if we weren't hosts of our respective podcasts, and you have a few of them at this point. So you're obviously exponentially multiplying that thing already. But yeah, and I guess from there, where my mind is going next is, what can you tell us about the build process? So, like, how much time did this take you to build? Uh,
Mhm.
did you like vibe code this, or did you write code by hand, by scratch, or I guess what are you willing to share about the actual build process?
Yeah, so the build process is like, so we are originally like software consulting company, right? So our
That's right.
original thing is like with Zadwell. So we do software consulting. It's a services company. So we have our remote operations in India, since we are from India. So
Yeah.
we have base in Bangalore. So we kind of leverage that.
Nice.
We didn't vibe code any of the prototypes that we made. So we did some for the website, but mostly for the app and all the integrations and stuff like that, APIs and
Mhm.
all of that. It was all hand coded. I'm
Okay.
sure like our developers did use ChatGPT. Maybe they used
Oh yeah.
for
Right,
bug
right.
fixing, and yeah, but we didn't like AI didn't code it. If that's what you're asking. No, AI didn't
Yeah.
code it.
Got it.
It was people who wrote the code. Uh, yeah.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason for that you went that way, or was it just not something AI could do? I'm just curious.
Oh, okay, fine. It's not the capability thing. It's like how can we quickly uh, create that MVP
Mm-hmm.
that we can go out and raise money for and
Yeah.
present the idea to someone, and that was our primary intent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were confident enough that we can do it
Got it.
with the information that we had collected. So putting it together and then create those modules and self-code it and with the team. That was the idea actually. I mean, nothing against vibe coding and anything. It's beautiful actually. I've tried it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's maturing, and sometimes it goes into the hallucination mode too.
Definitely
It kind of
does.
doesn't know where it is,
Yep.
and you point to a bug. It's kind of creating a new feature altogether. So
Right. Yeah. And it just like trips over itself, and yeah, exactly. It has no idea what to do next.
yeah.
Just runs around in circles, right? I love that. Well, Vijay, thank you so much for taking the time here today. I've learned so much from you, and as somebody that's somewhat also deeply involved with AI stuff, it's always really good to pick the brains of another person that also is, and I'm sure you'll probably agree, or maybe you won't, I don't know. But I don't know many people that are this deeply involved with what's going on, as we talked about, right? Every day there's a new development, there's a new breakthrough. So yeah, I think I really value where you are at with all of this, and you're somebody that I look up to with all of your various initiatives. You really seem to have more than 24 hours in the day for whatever reason, at least from my vantage point, and in a really cool way. So yeah, really happy to continue to support you from the sidelines and probably collaborate down the road, but really appreciate you taking the time here today.
Hey, likewise, Naman. I really had a great time today being a guest, and I also loved interacting with you months ago on Pathfinders. So yeah, uh, I try and like I've shared your links, ready, set, do sometimes. So I think it's a fantastic podcast and whatever initiatives you're doing, and I think you lead from the heart. I've seen that time and time again.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing, Naman. So. Wish you the best, man. You're always looking forward for something new. So I like what you're doing in terms of the how to. Yeah, I mean, it's based on how to, right? So
yes,
I
all
love
of it is
what
how to. Yep.
I love what you're doing with that. So yeah, congratulations and all the best. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of that episode with Vijay. I don't even know why you're watching right now. Go start building. I know I have, and it's definitely helped me. 11 Labs is just such a game changer. If you'd like to support me, the easiest way to do that is by subscribing on YouTube and leaving me up to a 5-star rating on Spotify or any of your favorite podcast apps. Something that goes a really long way for me is if you by word of mouth share with your friends and family about how you found your new favorite podcast. Catch you all in the next one. New episodes every Wednesday.